What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to the show, another episode of Seahawks Now. Today we discuss Matthew Golden being mocked to the Seahawks, Texas wide receiver. Would he make a good fit in the Seahawks roster? Plus, we discuss the more TJ Watt rumors flying around. Is there any fire here, or is it just smoke, or do the Steelers are they actually considering a trade of their superstar? There's teams that are interested. Supposedly the Seahawks are one of them. Plus, John Schneider has some interesting comments about this year's quarterback draft, saying that potentially this year's quarterback class might not be as bad as you think it is. All that and more right here on Seahawks Now. But first, guys, before we begin, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below. It really helps the channel out. And, of course, hit the bell for notifications so you never miss another breaking news video, update, or alert. With all that being said, let's get going. Matthew Golden, Texas wide receiver, one of the better wide receivers in the SEC last year. And, of course, Texas had a great year. They went to the Final Four. He is being mocked to the Seattle Seahawks. I want to talk about whether or not I think that would be a good fit for this team going forward. Let's pull up the stats here. Matthew Golden last year, 987 yards, 9 touchdowns, 61.7 yards per game, 17 yards per attempt, and 58 receptions. To be honest, those marks are not incredible. He was not a super high volume guy. He was more of a guy who came in and he could kill you on the deep balls. I mean, the 17 yards per attempt is really good. Obviously, the 9 touchdowns, he was a junior, but he only went for about 61 yards per game. Here's what NFL.com's draft profile says. They give him a grade of 6.42. They say he will become a good starter within 2 years. His production score ranked 74. His athleticism score was 87. His total score was 82. And Matthew Golden, he's 5'11", 191 pounds, 9.5-inch hands. He's a junior out of Houston, went to Texas. Ran a 4.29 40-yard dash, 1.49 10-yard split. He started his career with Houston and then transferred over to Texas. Started all 16 games last year. He also, only nine receiving touchdowns in 16 games. Again, not amazing. He averaged about 1 every 2 games. And the 61.7 yards per game leaves something to be desired. According to Lance Zierlein, his NFL comparison is Chris Olave. He's a round 1 projection. He works all 3 levels of the field with similar consistency. Route running needs refinement, but does a decent job of altering tempo and separating at break points. Has the ability to play all 3 receiver spots. He has agility, good body control. Focus drops still pepper his play, but he's a willing participant in traffic. Took command of contested catches with better physicality. Starting level traits and a big leap forward as a go-to playmaker have him primed to become a productive catchmaker with the potential to develop into a wide receiver 1. His strengths, he meets the moment with big plays in big games. That's a big deal, so he's clutch. Adequate linear speed, agile feet, good alteration, shows ability to sink, slow, and open quickly. Twitchy plunk and tuck, protects the catch through contact. He displays body control, big play kick return talent with 2 touchdowns as a sophomore at Houston. Here's his weaknesses. Routes can be too nonchalant and unfocused. If he feels like the route is covered, he takes his foot off the gas. Pops upright into route breaks, providing coverage a tell. Needs to play stronger at the top of the route. Inconsistent working back on throws to protect catch point. And poor hand timing, which causes focus drops underneath. So, yeah, he does. It looks to me like he really struggles with drops, and he struggles a little bit just being a volume guy. He has never been a huge volume guy in his career, but he's very interesting. I mean, look, I'd be interested to see him in the Seahawks uniform. Some people think this is the best pure wide receiver in the entire draft. I personally disagree. I think it's probably either Tat McMillan out of Arizona or Mbike out of Ohio State. But there are people who really believe in Matthew Golden. There are people who think he's going to be really good. Here's my other reservation is that I'm not sure. I think he might fit in best as a slot receiver. He's a bit of a shorter frame, smaller frame. He's very quick. I wonder, though, would he make more sense as a slot receiver? And if that is the case, I just don't see how the Seahawks can make room for this guy on the roster. I mean, they are already rostering 2 of the best slot receivers in the league. There's not a room for a 3rd great slot receiver on this team. I just don't see how you fit that in. I don't see where that works out with this roster. So, yeah, I'm going to have to say I don't think he's going to come to Seattle. I think John Schneider, if he's going to get a receiver, I think he's looking for a bigger body, somebody who is maybe 6'3", 6'4", even 6'5", somebody who can come in and actually replace that DK Metcalf production instead of a guy who was just going to be another version of Jackson Smith and Jigba. All right, I want to move on to the TJ Watt rumors. TJ Watt rumors are still flying. Is this just smoke, or is there a fire here? Here's what Mark Madden says. Okay, never mind. That website is not working. Okay, here we go. Here's where we're at with TJ Watt. If the Steelers are ever going to explore trade offers for TJ Watt, they may come away disappointed. While it seems incredibly unlikely they would take the path, here's what his market is going to look like. Any team would be acquiring an elite, potentially difference-making player, but at a premium and with risks. That's why what the Steelers could catch in a TJ Watt trade, it's probably going to be not as much as you think, right? According to Mark Kaboly of the Steelers Radio, he says, I just don't think there's a lot of market out there for somebody that wants a 31-year-old for $160 million. He's played all 17 games in the past 2 years, but he dealt with some injuries. In 2022, he missed extensive time due to injuries. Most likely, it's probably going to be maybe one first-round pick, maybe one second-round pick. Kaboly thinks they're probably going to get a second-round pick. He says if you're thinking a 1, a 2, and a 3 next year or something like that, you're absolutely kidding yourself. This is good news for the Seahawks. The fact that they are already beginning to acknowledge the market for TJ Watt, that he's not going to be as expensive as you might think. And I understand he's a really good player. You could say he's an elite player. I would agree with that. But he is not the same guy he was a little bit ago and in terms of health. Now, he's still elite. I think he's very elite. I mean, if you look at his numbers, he's still one of the best edge rushers in the NFL. I'm pulling up his stats right now just to make this point. Last year, 11.5 sacks. In 2023, 19 sacks. He was Defensive Player of the Year in 2021. In 2023, he was second place in Defensive Player of the Year voting. It led the league in sacks. And then in 2024, he was fourth in Defensive Player of the Year voting. He still ended up with 19 tackles for loss, 27 quarterback hits, 11.5 sacks. So while it's true that he is, and he also led the league, by the way, in forced fumbles. Last year, he forced 6 fumbles. Yeah, 6 fumbles, and he recovered 2. So while he is getting older, while he is 31 years old, going to be next year, he's still a really good player. Now, is there any smoke here, or is there a fire here, or is this just smoke? That's what we're really talking about. Is there an actual chance he could be on the trade market? I think yes. You know, the more stories that continue to come out about, is TJ Watt going to get traded? Is TJ Watt on the trade block? Could the Eagles, we're seeing Eagles could trade for TJ Watt. We're seeing the Seahawks. We're seeing the Patriots. We're seeing the Cowboys could trade for TJ Watt. The Yahoo Sports just yesterday proposed Dak Prescott could get traded for TJ Watt. What a weird trade that would be. And it is obviously, he did post that weird picture of the peace sign. It is his contract year. I think we all know this. He's looking for a new contract. He hasn't gotten it yet. He, I think, is getting frustrated with the Steelers leadership. And like we talked about with DK Metcalf, you know, we kept hearing rumors about Metcalf wanting out. Metcalf to the Ravens, Metcalf to here, Metcalf to there. And then eventually, those rumors turned out to be true. Metcalf did want out. He was pushing those, and he got traded. All of a sudden, we're seeing the same companies do the same thing about TJ Watt. And the more I begin to hear about it, the more rumors there are, the more I think this is real. This could be really happening. TJ Watt could be pushing these rumors out himself. He might want out of Pittsburgh. He might be done with these mediocre seasons under Mike Tomlin, and I wouldn't blame him. I actually would not blame him at all. All right, let's continue now. John Schneider made a comment yesterday saying that he thinks that this year's quarterback class is better than we might think. He says he would be very cautious when saying this year's quarterback class is a bad one. And here's what I think is interesting. Here's what is his actual quote. He said, I'd be careful when you hear it's not a great quarterback draft class. Well, if really he believes that it is a good quarterback draft class, then why did he sign Drew Lock? That's a really good question. I mean, comment down below, guys. What do you think? Because for me, I've been saying I do like this quarterback class. I think Cam Ward is going to be really good. I think Jackson Dart has a lot of potential. I think Quinn Ewers could be good. I'm not super interested in anybody else. I think Shedeur Sanders will be okay. I know he's going to get drafted in the first round, probably before the Seahawks come to the table either way. But I do think this is a decent quarterback class. And John Schneider apparently agrees with me, but what I'm confused about is if you actually like this quarterback class, then why not take one of them? Why would you sign Drew Lock to be your backup, effectively shutting the door on any possibility of drafting a quarterback in the first, second, third, even fourth or fifth round. At this point, I don't see what the need to do that is. You don't want to have 3 quarterbacks on your team, right? Especially when you're paying Drew Lock $2.5 million for 2 years. Not for 1, but it's a 2-year deal that they gave to Drew Lock. My question is this. A, could the Drew Lock signing be a distraction? Maybe they are trying to convince teams we're out on the quarterback market, and they want teams to think the Seahawks aren't going to swoop in and draft a guy. That way teams don't trade ahead of the Seahawks. Like, let's say it's the second round and Jackson Dart is still on the board, and the Seahawks pick in 3 picks. The Seahawks don't want another team, let's say the Giants. Let's say the Giants are also interested in Jackson Dart. The Seahawks don't want the Giants to swoop in and trade up because they're afraid of us taking Jackson Dart. So maybe the Drew Lock signing was kind of a distraction and trying to throw teams off of our tails, what we really were intending to do at the position. Or maybe this comment is a distraction. Maybe Schneider wants teams to think we are going to draft a quarterback because he wants teams to trade up with us to get the quarterback that we, are pretending to want. Maybe his comments are truly to just try to tell other teams, hey, these quarterbacks are pretty good. We don't need them, but if you do, you can trade with us to move up, and then we can take multiple of your picks later on. We know he loves to do that. We know he likes to trade away draft picks, and he loves to trade down. We've known this. He loves trading down to get more picks towards the second days of the draft, because I think that is what he's really good at, is finding those diamonds in the rough. John Schneider's always been able to find diamonds in the rough. The more opportunities we get to do that, the better it is. So the more more third, fourth, fifth round picks we can get, the better. So maybe he's thinking he can convince a team to trade up and give us some more picks in the lower rounds if we can convince them that this is a good quarterback class. I don't know, guys. It's very confusing to me. It just doesn't make much sense why you sign a backup quarterback 2 days ago, and now you're talking about how much you like this quarterback draft class. Like, well, if you like him so much, then why would you sign somebody else, But that's besides the point, guys. Today, that's going to wrap things up. We'll see you tomorrow, and as always, go Seahawks.